Hi, and welcome to Forgotten Cello Music. This is episode 59, Cello in Germany, the 19th century. In this installment, I'll be looking at the cellist Wilhelm Fitzenhagen. Now, to any cellist out there, the name Fitzenhagen may very well conjure up visions of a drastically altered score, probably by the composer himself considered to be a mutilated score, something that he did not authorize Fitzenhagen to do. Recall Variations on a Rococo Theme for Cello and Orchestra by Tchaikovsky himself. Originally, I was going to feature both Fitzenhagen and Becker, but as I delved deeper and deeper into Fitzenhagen's music, I realized that I would have to limit myself to Fitzenhagen. As we will find out, he is a composer worthy of a higher status than probably anybody I know for sure would give him credit for or even would know about. So, to continue the journey of cello in Germany in the 19th century via the wonderful historical book by Wasilewski entitled The Violoncello and Its History, we are on page 133 and through a bit of page 134 for Wilhelm Fitzenhagen. A little overview. He wrote numerous little pieces for cello, and many of them are accessible for the intermediate level. He even wrote several very clever beginning pieces. One in particular that's interesting to me is called Tuning. He also wrote a complete set of technical studies that includes chords as scales, or I think he titled it Scales in Chords. This is something quite rare in the string world, especially in the classical era, or in the classical world of cello string playing. He studied with Grützmacher in Leipzig. Then he went on to be a professor in Moscow at the Imperial Conservatoire. Well, thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, like a video, leave a comment as well. I will be posting a few videos of Fitzenhagen's works, the ones that are going to be talked about today. So I will have movements and excerpts of me performing. One of them in question is a cello quartet. Now, it's not exactly unique, but it is very good music, and I had a lot of fun working on it. Also, remember, if you want to support this channel, you can do that several ways. You can simply listen to this episode all the way through in its entirety. Tell your friends, do the same. You can give me a little donation through my paypal.me/travelingcello link that's in the description. You can also go to my Patreon and subscribe there for as little as $1 a month. You can go to $3 a month, $5 a month, $10, $25, and you can even get at 3 of those levels, after 3 months, you can get some merch. And I've got several patrons. Thank you very much to those that continue to support me. They have gotten some merch and they have told me, and it's exciting. I even got a picture from one of my patrons, and it looks very good on the countertop. It is a mug. And of course, all of the patrons, thank you very much. Those are the ways, some of the ways you can support. And now, let us turn our attention to Wilhelm Fitzenhagen. And this is going to be some excerpts of the biographical sketch delivered by Wasilewski in the book The Violoncello and Its History. This comes from pages 133 and 134. Carl Friedrich Wilhelm Fitzenhagen was born in 1848 in a little town of Seesen in Brunswick, where his father was music director. Seesen is located in Lower Saxony, just south of Hanover, in the northern half of Germany. He began music lessons first on the piano, aged 5, and then on the cello, aged 8. He also learned a number of wind instruments to take up vacancies in his father's orchestra. After 2 initial teachers and several solo performances with the Duke of Brunswick's Theatre Royal in 1867, at the age of 19, his abilities were recognized by patrons of high standing. They immediately supplied him with the means of pursuing his cello studies under Friedrich Greutzmacher in Leipzig. After graduation, Franz Liszt, yes, the famous pianist and composer, Franz Liszt wished to gain him for the orchestra at Weimar, but Fitzenhagen preferred to accept an offer made to him to be professor at the Imperial Conservatoire in Moscow. It is said of him, as he was still living at the time of this book's publication, he is at present looked upon as the cello master of greatest repute in Russia. Fitzenhagen was not only a very busy teacher-performer, in great demand, but a very industrious composer as well. He composed concertos, string quartets, suites, fantasias, a long list of drawing room pieces, and a book of technical studies. In all, Wasilewski uses about 2 pages to report on Fitzenhagen's life. Now I turn to his output as a composer and the pieces that I focused on and that you can hear playing in the background as I'm talking. There are several opus numbers that seem like extraordinary examples of a teacher-performer writing music, not just for the edification of his students, but to entertain them while endeavoring to learn the cello. And he was considered to be one of the finest pedagogues of that period. I mean, he was very busy according to the accounts that I've read, performing. He had lots of students and people came to see him from all over. All right, to begin with the works in question, let's look at this set of technical studies. This is Opus 28. This is complete with scales and arpeggios, of course, but it's much more than that. It's taking the key signatures and expanding upon those. So he bases these etudes. There are a number of etudes for nearly every key. And then not only that, he targeting certain technique. He's down in the lower positions first, and then he focuses on arpeggios next, and then he writes etudes with numerous arpeggio type exercises in them. And then he goes on to do scale studies in chords, and he goes through all the key signatures there with a beautiful progression that is similar and the same even for a lot of the key signatures. Now these scale studies, we're going to stop here and ponder on these for a bit. These scale studies as chords, and that means every single note of the scale is accompanied by itself. You have intervals that make up chords. So, for example, in C major, you can hear very clearly the top note is ascending as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C through 2 octaves. But as we progress, we get these beautiful chords. And here is the progression that I have written down. So this is to the best of my theoretical knowledge. The chords go as follows: 1, 5, 5 of 4, 4, 1, 4, 5, 6, 5, 1, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1. This is ascending. So as you listen to me play it, you can check it for yourself. If I've done anything funny, let me know in the comments. That'd be great. To go over it again, I'll just do ascending. We have C major tonic, G major dominant, and then we've got a 5 of 4, which is C7 of 4. 4 is F major, and then C major, F major, G7, A minor, G7, C major, then G7 again, C major, F major, G7, and C major. And it produces a very, very nice little progression. Why do I focus so much on these? There's only one way that I can describe it from my point of view. This is really incredible to me. Pianists, for example, have been practicing chordal figures, progressions for years and years and years. Every student needs to learn these. So you need to be able to play chords in all the inversions, and you need to be able to play progressions, at least simple progressions. I rarely, if ever, find any examples other than in etudes where they are built into the music that you're studying chordal progressions. It's not separated as a standalone technical study like this is. This is very clearly stated. These are scale studies in chords. This is just really surprising that this is even there. And it's even more surprising to me that it's there in the 19th century. It is absolutely stunning to me because so often the Romantic era is portrayed as dreamers. They've got their heart on their sleeve. They're not really thinking about anything other than being virtuosic, and they overcomplicate things with their emotions and all this. Now, that's the view I have. What view do you have? That would be interesting to know. Just to go back, recall the Broderick and Wilkinson's complete cello treatise from the late 1700s. I think it was the late 1700s. And then Quarenghi's massive cello method. I mean massive, 600 pages on cello history, on cello technique, on music theory, especially counterpoint, which I dealt with in a previous episode. And then recently I've always heard about Heberlein, but now I've looked into Heberlein's method for beginning cello. Just really great stuff that needs to be given better credit for. Now moving on to some short pieces. There are 4 short pieces that I worked on and recorded. And the first one is a mazurka. This is number 3 from a set of 3 concert pieces, and in first position, which is stunning, of course, from a cellist of that virtuosic stature. This is Opus 27. Then a tuning piece. This is number 1 from a set of 3 little pieces, Opus 22. This is stunning for the reason that it is titled tuning, and it actually kind of resembles one tuning the instrument. I mean, this just slapped me across the top of the head, and I was like, wow, they had fun too back in the Romantic era. Now we've got 2 cello quartets. This is cool. A lullaby, Opus 7, for cello quartet, and a set of concert waltzes, Opus 31, for cello quartet. Really, really nice pieces of music. It's just remarkable that a performing cellist and pedagogue of this distinguished repute composed 2 sets of pieces, a total of 6, for learners of cello. They're by no means simple pieces. The tuning piece is not just simply drawing your bow at random across the strings like we often do in tuning. It's rhythmic, it's syncopated, and you do have to use your fingers occasionally. In particular, the 3 concert pieces that are said to be in first position, they're very intricately written pieces of music. Fun, very fun. I would love to come back to those 3 particularly and play them as a set and put them up on YouTube. So I'm going to keep this set in mind. That's Opus 27, 3 concert pieces. Aside from the selections that I have here, the technical studies, the chords, and so on, there are numerous other virtuosic pieces more advanced in style: Perpetual Motion, Gavotte, Impromptu, Resignation, Elegy, and others too, like you heard in the biographical sketch from the beginning. Thank you very much for listening. Take a look at Fitzenhagen. He certainly had a good handle on composition. His skills in this department helps me to rate his music at a slight cut above many of the others I've featured on this podcast. I think he's more interesting in his ideas. Here's a suggestion just to throw out. If you've gone this far in listening to my episode, do yourself a favor. Choose 1 or 2 pieces from Fitzenhagen. Go to the IMSLP Fitzenhagen page and start looking through them. You won't regret it. These are really nice little pieces. Learn them and let me know how you enjoyed the works. Thanks for listening to episode 59. Remember, you can support me by simply listening all the way through. Go to my videos on YouTube, listen all the way through, quick like, write a comment, tell your friends to subscribe. You can go to Patreon and to my PayPal.me account. Remember to play more forgotten cello music.